All right, and here's a figure I've been looking forward to getting. Well, mostly just for my personal collection, but also to show off here is Generations Rat Trap. And he's based off of his original rat mode from the TV show, not his transmetal mode. All right, and he comes also with the standard packaging here, which you saw. There's his tech spec there on the back, and a basic bio about how he's willing to go through the trash and rubble to keep out of the line of fire, because that's the type of character Rat Trap is. He also comes with the instructions, let's folded up instruction sheet, which is always good, and a copy of another chapter of Dark Cybertron, which I don't know how prominently it features Rat Trap. I don't even see him in here. He may not. Got a Rat Trap cover. Is Rat Trap in the actual comic itself? Let's see. I don't remember this chapter off the top of my head. But he does not appear to be even in the Waspinator is in this comic in a couple of panels. Rat Trap himself is not. So hey, Tankors was actually more relevant to Tankor's figure than Rat Trap's comic was to him. Now, Rat Trap, however, though, like over in the overall universe, Rat Trap has actually played a much larger role, both in Robots in Disguise and Windblade as a second in command, and we'll get to some of that in a little bit. Now, he's a little rat. He's got a bendable, posable tail back here. It's not, super crazy, but you can twist it a little bit, and it's got a little wire in it to bend his tail. He's got a cute little chompy mouth, so you can give him a little expressive, make him just like, "Oh man, we're all gonna die," type of voice. And then, and there is a little shield back here that you can see is movable. That's kind of nice. It's not a completely seamless rat mode, since there are cutouts for where his ears need to sit. But there's a neat little moving panel in here that'll flip down for robot mode. That so you can bend his rat head kind of down like that. You can have him stand up, and it covers this area. Just the head kind of moves over it, so it looks a little bit more seamless than it could. Very nice engineering there. I like it. He does have little pink hands and feet, and some options. You can see his gun stores right here underneath the rat mode itself. And just as a quick comparison, here he is with his original transmetal version. About the same size. Like I said, his tail is not quite as posable as his versions, but again, this guy's got a segmented whip tail, so kind of hard to beat that posability-wise, while trying to maintain a pink normal rat tail. But he does have a wire, and there is some posing options there. So let's give him side by side there just to show him off. Dun, dun, dun. Upgrade. Yeah, but he's a cool little rat. Now to transform this little guy, it's actually kind of cool. So you start off down here. You want to unpeg. They're pegged into the arms and in a couple places around up here. But take these side panels and just kind of open these up. So you kind of fold them up onto the back like that. And then come down here and pull this, rotate this leg kind of off of here. Grab, and kind of grab his butt. Now you can see, and I'll show you how to connect these later, but like when you pull this out, there's a couple little divots here in this back piece that fit around, like in between the leg here, right in this gap, around the curved part back here. That's kind of how this whole piece locks in. Once you get that done, you lift this whole piece up, and this whole back piece, there's a pink pivot point under here. See right there, and you just bring this whole thing up. Oh, you want to unpeg his gun first. That also helps because that's plugged in under there. So you bring this whole thing up, fold this up, and fold the tail up. And that's basically his backpack. Just kind of bring this whole thing up like that. The legs come down, just like that. Flip up the arms. And on the legs, you come down here, you push them in like this. Flip the foot down. And then fold the front half here around the joint. Make sure it stays plugged in. And fold around. That will bring this tab up. And you fold this down, fold this down to the hinge, and then the rat foot actually folds up kind of inside and forms the heel of the robot mode foot. So get down here, push this all the way, and you want to make sure you bring it so this you don't want to bring it all the way in. There's a clearance area here. This little notch right here, you want to make sure it comes behind the joint to make sure it pushes all the way in. And then once that's done, you can fold this around, no problem bringing that up. And once again, the same thing. Fold this down, fold the foot up into there. And there's his legs pretty much done with. And the upper torso, the arms, pull them out like this, pull them out to the sides, rotate them around so this squarish part is on the top of the shoulder. And then the rat head comes down like this. You see here's the folding piece I was telling you about that disguises the neck in rat mode. And once that's done, you just flip this down and into the rat mode head. For some reason, it's being a pain in the butt. There we go. But fold that down in there. Turn his robot head around. Now, turning the robot head around is not an official part of the transformation, but I just find that by doing that before you transform him into rat mode and flipping all this over it, it hides the robot head in rat mode. Because otherwise you have his face just staring out of the bottom, whereas if you turn his head around before you transform him, you're still seeing the back of his head, but it's not quite as obviously Rat Trap staring at you in rat mode. That's all. Turn his head around. And then bring these joints right here up. He's got a ball joint out here, and then there's a hinge joint right there. And rotate his arms around so they're facing forward. And then just position his backpack up like this. Now in the package he comes with his hands out like this, like he's got little rat jazz hands on the sides of his shoulders. You can actually take these legs, and they pop out a little bit, but you can slide him down here and then rotate the rat hand in. So he still has the rat legs on his back, but they're not visible from the front. It's much nicer, and it keeps those out of the way, and you can keep them just there on the backpack. His tail does kind of hang down, but again, once you have everything transformed, this piece should sit up over this connector joint here, and you can kind of fold the tail back. And with that wire, it doesn't bend all the way up, but you can kind of fold it up and out of the way. So it's not just hanging down there between his legs in silhouette mode, or as a silhouette or anything like that. And stand him up, and there he is. And then his gun, he does have a rifle that he can hold just like this in one hand. And like his old toy, it does split into two actual separate guns. And he can hold those separately as well, like a smaller pistol and like a larger pistol that can work either separately or together. Plug that in. And then over in this hand, he does have his hidden explosives from the cartoon. You pull those out. I don't know why they chose to make these all clear. And he can hold those as well. Yeah, I'm not sure. It's kind of a silvery clear, or silvery translucent material. And like I said, I don't know what the design choice behind that was, but there it is. Oh, come here, you. Pop you back down into the arm. And yeah, it's not too bad. He's got ball joints here at the shoulders, and then a little extra movement there just due to this joint. His head is on just a swivel, it looks like. Maybe it's a swivel. No, I can't tell. There's definitely a forward swivel on this piece. And if it's a ball joint, it's a very limited ball joint. It seems to be more like a swivel to me, but I can't see the actual joint itself up in there. It doesn't really have any movement other than the side to side, so treat it like a swivel, I guess. He's got a swivel here at the elbow as well as a hinge. There's no wrist articulation, I don't think, no, just due to the way they're molded. Ball joint hips, no waist swivel, again, due to transformation. But there's a thigh swivel, a ball joint on the hip, a knee, and again, you can kind of flip the rat feet out to support some poses if you need to. Although, other than that, he has no significant articulation down in the foot. But he's a nice little representation of Rat Trap's original form. And in the comics, he actually has shown up and had a fairly significant role both in Robots in Disguise and Windblade as second in command to Starscream. They met each other and they both know they're schemers, and so they've been kind of working together. They've been kind of allied, loosely allied with each other since before Dark Cybertron, actually, and now into Windblade. So it's nice to see Rat Trap getting a significant role in the comics currently. And then just some quick size comparisons. Here he is with his transmittal self in robot mode, which I really like. Those two look really nice together. I really love this as an upgrade to the old pull up on the tail and flip change transformation that he had before. And in the Generations line, here he is with his old pal Rhinox, who should be probably a little larger than that in scale, but they look nice together on the shelf, which is, what I care about. So yeah. And to go back to rat mode, let's go ahead and pop his gun out. And again, it starts, the first thing it says to start off with is to flip just that interior panel out. And like if you lift this up, it'll pop it up a little bit, and you can just flip that. Again, like I said, I like to turn his robot head around just to hide it. And you can actually just lift the whole mouse head up. Like this piece will stay in place usually. Sometimes it'll get caught in the head and move with it. But you don't have to flip that up separately because you kind of have to get in there to get at it. If you just flip the rat head up, that will come with it, and then you can leave it up there like that. And I find that's the easiest way to do it. Instead of trying to do it separately like the instructions say, I find just taking the whole rat head and flipping it up, you're good to go. And then when you get to rat mode, it'll be there, and you can move it however you want. So just flip the rat head up. Arms come up like this, and you want them to be like that, with the explosives on the bottom and the forearm, the top of the forearm here on top. And then rotate this whole piece around so that the square part is underneath. And then you kind of angle this hinge down a little bit to give them some clearance, and then fold them in. And then once you do that, you want to make sure that these push all the way up into the rat body during the transformation. You want to get those all the way up in there so that everything collapses together properly in rat mode. So make sure they go all the way up into the body cavity. And you come down here, you want to flip this up just to give some clearance to what you're going to do here with the legs. Get those open. And the legs in reverse. Flip the feet down, fold it up here, and then fold it up at the joint. There's a joint here and a joint right here that you do flip up. Now, it takes a little force the first time. And you're thinking like, oh crap, am I going to break it? But they do fold forward. That's correct. So you do that, and then you come up here and you flip these out and around again. And then once you've done that, you pull them out. You extend them out here so you can see there's a gap there now. So pull them out on the thigh. And you kind of bring them in and around so that the copper part goes inside the thigh like that. And then bring the whole hinge down. There. And then this part, you flip this up, and this whole part again collapses down on this armature. And when you bring it down, you want to make sure one you get it flat along the back here, and then you kind of have to massage this a little bit. But you want to get that little rounded clip to fit right in there, right around where you pull the thigh out on the rat leg and robot mode. You can kind of see. I'm trying to do it as best I can. So this little piece goes in there. You kind of pull it out a little bit, but you just want to clip it around that like that. I don't know how well the light. I can see it okay. I don't know how well the lighting on the camera is picking it up, but you want to plug it around those back legs. And then you make sure the arm. Once that's done, the arm should fold up, right up into the kind of gap. Sit right here in this gap in the foot. And you want to make sure they fold up in such a way that this this peg hole is still visible, because then once you bring these down, these will peg right into the arm. And if they don't match up right away, you just kind of massage it until you can get those tabs to peg in. But if you do it right, it'll go right in the first time. And then there's a couple of little tabs like back here. That little tab should go inside the butt flap here, for lack of a better term. Flip his little rat feet forward. And there's a couple little pegs up here, like see this little segment up here comes around that and pegs in behind there. And then you bring his legs down, push him back in, like that. Flip his feet around. Like I said, if you do that right, that piece stays in place. Just like I was saying, just flip the rat head up. And basically it's just a matter of just plugging it in, making sure all the panels sit flat against each other. Positioning the feet however you want. And the tail however you want, and then again the gun, there's a peg hole right here in front of his tail, and you just peg the gun in. And you'll know you've got everything lined up properly because the gun will hide pretty much all the way up in between. If you've got something misaligned, the gun will kind of stick down and out like this. But if it sits right up in there and you don't see it from a side-on view, then you know you've got everything lined up properly. And then there's Rattrap back in his little rat mode. And pretty cool. This one I definitely would recommend going out and trying to find if you hear he's in the area, because he's a great little figure, and I'm really, really happy with him. So yeah, there it is, Generations Rat Trap.